What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Arcade Colony content today. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, now that we have completed the fork portion of the fork and airdrop, we have a better idea of how many tokens have been included in the snapshot, as well as starting to take a look at where we will be about a year from now. And the reason I say about a year from now is because we're coming up on the Bitcoin halving, and we know that the bull market tends to rage at about the 12 to 18 month mark. Or I shouldn't say rage, but it usually peaks at about the 12 to 18 month range after the halving. So that would be in like April to October of 2025. So obviously we're looking at this maybe about a year out from now, which would be, almost maybe 11 or close to 12 months. And what I'm trying to get at here is what is the perspective going to be? What is the supply going to look like overall for the tokens? So with the fork, we know that we minted, or we will mint, about 200 million tokens from that. So the estimate was actually pretty good from Aggie and the team. I think they even said here somewhere that they were expecting about 200 million. I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, currently estimated to be 200 million. So they were pretty on the money with that, which means that there's 800 million remaining to be released over the next 5 years. So we start with that baseline of 200. Then you're going to do, 800 million divided by 5. Check my math, but that should come out to about 160 million. Then the LP rewards, if this does go live, this is 2 billion over the course of 20 years. So if this goes live relatively soon, that would be another 100 million. And then the DAO, we don't really care about that because it's going to be locked in the DAO. Shouldn't really be liquid for anybody to be messing around with unless the DAO votes for that. And finally, 50 million available from the play to earn rewards. Because keep in mind, I believe it's 250 million that they have allocated over the course of 5 years for Mooncarts, the first game that'll be launching. So you add all that up, right? 200 million plus 160 million plus another 100 million. That's 460 plus the 50. That just gets us roughly around 500 million tokens maximum that we would be at from a minted standpoint at this, around this time next year or whenever the actual distribution starts. So 500 million. How does that compare to something like Splinterlands, which is currently at about 1.2 billion? And that includes the fact that we have actually burned over 100 and I think we're close to like 110 million tokens of SPS already. I would say that puts us in a very good spot. Now, the thing is, when you compare this to something like Splinterlands, which has a very similar tokenomic model, for anybody who's new to Mooncarts or Arcade Colony, just understand that this is all kind of part of the same company here. This is a different side for Splinterlands, but a lot of the tokenomic design is based on what Splinterlands is doing with its SPS and DEC tokens. So, with that being said, 500 million is not that much. We don't have as much utility, but we don't have a game launched yet. But my hope is that over the course of the next year, I've already loved what Mooncarts is doing. Weirdbeard is knocking it out of the park by creating these awesome community events. Once the game is actually live and they're able to expand further on it, that's going to be fantastic. Then there's also this talk about the social, casino type of thing that Aggie had mentioned. I talked about it briefly in the last video. If that is something that they were able to launch within the next 12 months, well, now all of a sudden you have two games that could be using tokens for this, potentially burning a lot of tokens, right? So I look at this and think to myself, okay, 500 million tokens is not that many, right? At least it's not as many as what we have in terms of SPS. And if you have games like a kart racer, like some kind of social casino game that are easy to onboard new players, that to me is where a lot of the potential is. So I have no idea what the price of the Colony token is going to be. My guess is that initially, because somebody asked her in a recent live stream, and I don't like to do price predictions, but my guess is that early on, if it comes through, especially since it's going to come through before the launch of Mooncarts and before the launch of anything else on the platform, it's probably going to be at or lower than wherever GLX is at, which is pretty low itself already, right? Because we essentially just snapshotted what was out there for GLX, and we're going to add on top of that. So my guess is that it would actually be lower than where GLX is at the current moment. That being said, once the game is actually live, if they can start to pull people in, and once other aspects of the ecosystem really start to pick up, right? So specifically talking about the social casino and hopefully anything else that the team might have. A year is a long time, and my hope is that if they're already going to have moon carts in, and they are already in the talks to get, the social casino thing, if Aggie's already teasing it here, I mean, maybe I'm getting greedy. Maybe I'm getting a little too optimistic, but is it possible to launch a third app, right? A third game on the ecosystem by month number 12, right? So I'm talking about Q1 of next year. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bullish, but in that, if that ends up being the case, just think about the utility that could come from that. All of the burning of colony tokens that would need to happen for script, even though we started the game with like 555,000 script or something like that, which was, again, I'm not a fan of. But either way, if we eat through that, get through it, and then start burning colony token and start having to stake colony token across all these different games, we could be in a very, very interesting place in a year. So this is one of the reasons why I'm very bullish on Arcade Colony overall. Again, I didn't do anything special in terms of trying to, game the system and get a higher, fork or airdrop, whatever the case is. Same thing I did with GLX or the GLS, airdrop. I'm staking my SPS, or I have my GLX staked, and I should get something for that. And now I have my GLX continued to be staked, as well as my SPS staked for the ongoing airdrop, and I will just continue to collect. And if there's an opportunity where people sell, usually, and that ends up happening, right? Again, this is not financial advice. I have no idea what's going to happen, but people generally tend to sell the airdrop, right? And once distribution is done, then they start to scoop up. But if there is an opportunity there, maybe I do pick up some more. I don't know. It really just depends on how the launch of moon carts goes, as well as the other, how the other games or apps on this platform end up tracking. But that's all I wanted to share with you guys in this video. Just kind of like an overview, bird's eye view of where we would be about a year from now. 500 million tokens. Again, it all comes down to utility. Where will these tokens be needed? How many of them will be burned for script or for whatever else is needed? That's where I would like to see things move in the future. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.